Good Monday Matters. I hope you had a great Sabbath and are looking forward to a wonderful week, enjoying all that God has in store for you. My name is Mike Courtney, and every Monday I take a few minutes to talk about something that makes your life happier, healthier, and perhaps a little bit holier. Today I want to talk about levels of sacrifice. It was prompted in part by spending the week with an amazing missionary couple, James and Heidi Romano. They are just an unbelievable young couple. Doris and I met them when we were in Italy in November. I just say that to impress you. But they're just amazing, and we invited them to come over. They did. They spent a week with us, and we showed them all around Tennessee. You know, when you've seen Venice and Rome and Florence, then you haven't really lived until you've seen Shelbyville and Woodbury and Tullahoma. So we just showed them all the highest sights of Tennessee. Had a great time with them. And it just made me think of what it is to live in such a way that your life is a sacrifice. Paul says in Romans 12:1, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies living sacrifices, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. I believe that all of us as Christ followers are called to live sacrificially in some way, that the call of God upon our lives is a call to be a sacrificial person. I just think that's what we're supposed to do. But there are levels of that. I acknowledge that there are different levels of that. For example, we who are Christ followers and go to church every Sunday, that's a sacrifice. You know, we have one day a week less than the rest of the world does. I have one weekend day less to get my yard mowed and my shrubs trimmed and all that. There's a sacrifice to that. There's a different level of sacrifice of people who work for the kingdom, are pastors and even nurses, doctors, teachers, those people who do that kind of life that is all about giving to others. And then finally, there seems to be this level of the Romanos who live in shipping containers and raise their children in tiny little boxes so that they can evangelize a very unchristian nation. There seems to be levels to that. And I don't imagine that God is calling all of us to go to Italy and work for Christ as the answer. I don't imagine that God's calling all of us to be pastors. I do believe that God is calling all of us to live every day looking for opportunities to be sacrificial, looking for ways to do that. And so these three things, and then a kind of a final thought, these three things, sacrificial living is the call of God. I believe that's what it means to follow Christ. Take up your cross and follow me, that we are all called to do that. The second, spiritual sacrifice produces perfect peace. There is something about living this giving kind of life that produces a peace and a joy. When you see those people who are living totally sacrificial, there's such a joy in them, such a peace. Here's the third thing I think. There are seasons of great sacrifice. There are times, this is not on the great sacrifice scale, but for example, your church going through a building program, or a needy person that needs to live with you for a period of time, or you run into someone who needs a car and you give it to them. There are seasons of great sacrifice, but every day there are opportunities for sacrificial living. I live willing to experience the seasons, but I live constantly looking for those everyday moments. And then finally this, sacrificial living is a mindset. I don't believe it's just a determination of the heart. I think there's something in my mind that says I'm going to constantly be scanning my horizon, my environment, to see where I can be helpful, where I can be used, how I can make a difference. Our pastor said this yesterday, so I want to tag it on here. He said, we are called to discover our gifts, develop our talents, and deploy our abilities. I think that's true. Discover, develop, deploy. That's what we should be doing constantly. Where am I needed? How can I be used? what gifts do I have that would benefit that, and where do I get started? So, two things. There is sacrificial giving. I hope that you consider that always, that you'll do that. There's also sacrificial living. And I think, the call of God upon our lives to live sacrificially. The Romanos do. By the way, this is a shameless plug. We're trying to raise enough money to buy them a car. I'm going to attach a little giving link to this. If you'd like to give online, kind of a GoFundMe thing, then I'd encourage you to do that. But whether it's Romanos or whoever it is, I do encourage you to live sacrificially this week. God bless you. Have a great week. I'll write something every day about sacrificial living and post it on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for your sacrifice.